What's up, everybody? The O's seemed to put a pretty big beat down on the Yanks yesterday, and yesterday was a pretty historic feat as we were able to watch an MLB game played in the oldest standing stadium in baseball at Rickwood Field. Let's get into it.
Fly ball in the deep right field. At this time, Anthony Powers went to right. At the wall. High drive to deep right field, and Brandon Donovan to left down the line. Towards the pole. In the air to deep right field. Second straight day. The Padres have walked it off. This time it's the kid.
Welcome back to the Touch and Bases podcast. Good to see you smiling faces again, and it's going to be a short one today. We're just going to review what happened yesterday and some things that I noticed that were surprising, if you will. I'm going to stick with surprising. If you guys haven't already, go check out my other video after this one, which I just released yesterday, talking about the Mariners and how they could possibly make it to the World Series, but if they make a couple of these trades that I threw out there. I believe there was a little bit of a misinformation on there that I put out on accident. It was my mistake. I got Luis Roberts' contract incorrect on there. He is good till 2028. So there's my disclaimer before you watch it. I made a mistake. Doesn't change my answer, and you guys can see that in the comments of that video. Anyways, let's focus on yesterday. Luis Hill was probably the best American League pitcher right now that nobody expected to see come out like he did. Yesterday, the O's came to town and, for lack of better words, completely demolished him. Luis Hill only went 1 1/3 inning yesterday. He literally was in there for an inning and 1 out, and he gave up 7 earned runs with 1 strikeout and 2 walks, including a hit by pitch that walked in the final run before they took him out. And it didn't really stop there. Throughout the game, Henderson hit a double, Mountcastle hit a double, Rushman hit a double, Westberg hit a double, and Mullins hit a double. Mullins also hit a home run off of Hill in the 2nd inning. Santander hit 1 in the 5th inning, and Hayes hit 1 in the 7th inning against Gonzalez. It was just batting practice out there, and it actually set a new record, with the Orioles taking this game 17-5 against the #1 team in the AL. They now have stretched out 22 consecutive series wins, which sets a record dating back to 1998 through 2000 Atlanta Braves, and the Reds dating back to 1975. I honestly don't know what happened to Luis Hill out there. Maybe it's just the kryptonite. It was just a bad day. Everybody has an off day, but it was horrible. And I really emphasize this because he's like my #1 pitcher in fantasy right now, and he gave me negative points, which is unheard of this season. So that series ends, and the O's are going to go play the Astros, which for us Mariners fans, if you are one, we're hoping that the O's take care of business and continue their streak, while the Yankees take on Chris Sale and the Braves. Now, Chris Sale's been insanely good. He had that 1 bad outing, very similar to Luis Hill, actually, when he played the Oakland A's and they decided to just destroy him while he was on the mound. I don't know how the Yankees are going to fare against Chris Sale, but I'm going to sell my money on Chris Sale holding him back. This really kind of opens opportunity for the O's to take over the first place spot in the AL East, which is a powerhouse. And this would also help the Braves kind of climb back into the race for the NL East against Phillies, who seem to be unstoppable still. Speaking of the Phillies, they're still on top of the NL East, and they took the series against the Padres just recently, but they weren't able to win the final game as they lost 5-2, and that was on Wednesday. But Bryce Harper tried to carry the entire team. He hit 2 home runs with 2 RBIs. Fortunately, that was all that the Phillies could muster up, as San Diego was able to come away with the win. And Waldron, the rookie pitcher, the knuckleballer, came away with another win. His ERA is sitting at a 3.46 after that game, and I honestly think that he should probably earn himself a spot in the All-Star game this season as a pitcher. His dominance, how much have we been talking about him and how well he's been doing? He may be 5-6, but if you look at how he's been pitching, how many runs he's given up, I don't entirely think it's his fault. He just doesn't have any run support to back him up on the days he's on the mound. Luckily, on Wednesday, he had the opportunity. They were able to get 5 runs, and he held them to 2. Just got a little bit of heat from Bryce Harper. Moving on to Rickwood Field in Alabama, it's a bit of a sad day because we just reflected on Willie Mays passing away, who started with the Birmingham Barons at this stadium that is still up. And as you know, and probably watched the game, San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals went there to play their game against each other in Rickwood, kind of make history. On top of that, there was some interesting news that kind of blew my mind. This was going to be the first game ever that's going to have a full crew of umpires that were all black. Now, in 2024, I feel like this is a bit absurd that it took this long for them to have an all-black umpiring. Not that I think that MLB is like really paying attention to who's black and who's white on the base path of an umpire crew, but at the same time, it's just mind-blowing to me that this is the first time that they've had an all-black crew. There's a lot of black umpires that are in the game, and I don't see why they haven't had a full crew together that was all the same race. It's a bit surprising that this was the first time that ever happened, and hopefully this crew can continue umpiring as a crew together at future games, just to continue this historic event. I think that's good. With that said, to open up the ceremonies, they had Michael Mays, Willie Mays' son, come out to give a little bit of a speech, and everybody gave a standing ovation for Willie in his memory, as he was one of the most famous players to ever play for the Barons. And I'm glad he was there. It was saddening to see only a couple days away Willie Mays wasn't able to attend this, to be among a lot of the greatest players in baseball. So hopefully MLB might extend this for another year and do this again next year. I think this would be a great tradition and really keep that stadium up and running, and hopefully next year I would actually love to attend. It would be pretty fun. Brandon Donovan has been pretty hot lately. He's went 3 for 3 in that game. He's an Alabama native, so maybe he just felt right at home like he did when he was a kid. Lately, in the last few games, I mean, he's been tearing it up. So far this season, he has 7 home runs, 36 RBIs, 1 stolen base, 70 hits, and he's batting in .258, slugging a .402. It's someone to keep an eye on, is being like a second baseman, but also can play in the outfield. The All-Star game is coming up soon, and you can vote at this point. I would have considered Donovan maybe being in your wheelhouse, as is kind of like a no-name player that not very many people pay attention to unless you're from St. Louis. You guys should keep him on the radar. He's been hitting hot, and he's been staying hot, and I understand it can be streaky, but for the month of June, very impressive. Going back to the Padres real quick before we sign off of here, I figured I would like to notate that the Padres have now walked off 3 straight home games in a row. I don't know if this is like a historic moment in MLB, but I know it's the most consecutive walk-off home runs that they've had in their franchise, so it is history for San Diego. I don't know about the MLB, but I figured we throw out there. Padres have been keeping it interesting and making it fun to go, so if you're in or around Petco Park in the next few days, I would recommend go and catch a game, as they walked off against the Brewers last night. Cronenworth hit a home run to right field, and Padres took it home. That's all I have for you guys today. If you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below who you're voting for in the All-Star game. Leave it all down below. Subscribe if you haven't, and if you are interested in checking out more videos before you commit to subscribing to this channel, you can go ahead and click the next link. I will catch you guys all later. See ya.